you finally lock in those precious vacation days, endure a 14-hour flight, and immediately spend 48 hours fighting jet lag, dragging suitcases across transit hubs. It is the standard long-haul trap. By the time you navigate connections or decipher bus schedules and check into remote accommodations, your 7-day international trip shrinks down to about 3 actual days of viable sightseeing. To avoid this, we evaluate destinations using a strict analytical filter. This chart measures experience variety on the y-axis and logistical friction on the x-axis. When plotted, South Korea drops into the top left quadrant, offering high variety with 0 navigational friction. For professionals with only a week or 2 of paid time off, picking a destination is a strict mathematical calculation of travel return on investment. South Korea's recent surge to the top of global travel rankings is heavily credited to viral pop culture. But foreign visitors consistently report that the actual driver of their satisfaction is the country's hyper-compressed structural efficiency. The entire peninsula operates on a principle of high density and low friction. Look at Seoul's visual layout. The ancient gates of Gyeongbokgung Palace sit on a modern highway, with corporate skyscrapers towering directly behind. Because urban zoning is tightly packed, a traveler can walk across 4 centuries of architectural history in a single afternoon without getting into a cab. In sprawling countries, moving from a historical site to an urban center usually requires booking a regional flight or losing an entire day driving. Korea eliminates that dead time. The local infrastructure alters the absolute volume of cultural ground you can extract from a standard 7-day timeline. Global travel analysts consistently recommend a specific multi-region itinerary designed to maximize a 5 to 7 day window. It starts in Seoul, moves down to Busan, and finishes on Jeju Island. The starting point requires you to navigate extreme urban density. Seoul is a massive, highly vertical, 24-hour environment packed with tens of millions of people. Within hours, you can execute a drastic geographical shift down to Busan. Here, the sheer scale of the high-rises remains, but they are built right onto the edge of the ocean. Then, a 50-minute flight drops you into a completely different macro environment. Jeju Island strips away the city grid entirely, replacing it with raw volcanic craters and jagged coastlines. Attempting to pack a megacity, a coastal metropolis, and a volcanic island into a single week comes with a strict trade-off. The pace is inherently relentless and visually demanding. This geographic compression eliminates mandatory downtime. It is incredibly lucrative for travel optimizers, but if you are looking for a slow, disconnected retreat, this structure will burn you out quickly. The physical backbone making that 3-city sprint possible is the National Rail Network. These are the KTX high-speed trains. They connect the northern capital to the southern coast in about 2.5 hours, operating at speeds of up to 190 miles per hour. You buy a ticket on your phone, walk onto the platform, and sit down. There are no rental car counters, no private drivers to negotiate with, and 0 domestic security lines. Once you are inside the cities, the friction drops even lower. The subway grids are immaculate, highly organized, and run on precise schedules with multilingual digital signage tracking every arrival. Because the entire country is blanketed in high-speed mobile networks, you are constantly tethered to real-time transit maps and live camera translation tools. You operate in a completely on-rails environment. You never waste an afternoon wandering lost, which guarantees efficiency, but it strips away the serendipity of unstructured travel. The final structural advantage is the safety dividend. A high baseline of public safety mathematically expands the usable hours in your itinerary. In many global tourist hubs, the viable exploration window closes shortly after sunset due to rising street crime. Here, violent crime risks are statistically negligible, so your day continues. Entire commercial districts remain open, brightly lit, and heavily populated by families and solo travelers well past midnight. This safety window creates a functional 24-hour cycle for dining and commerce. Street food stalls and late-night restaurants operate at full capacity, while other major global cities have already gone dark. You step out of your hotel at 11 p.m. and immediately hit vendor stalls operating with open flames, offering complex meals on demand. The ability to safely explore and eat at any hour transfers the burden of pacing entirely to you. The city will not force you to go to sleep. By removing the curfew of caution, the safety dividend effectively turns a 7-day trip into a 10-day trip. It doubles your daily experiential yield simply by keeping the streets secure. We have established the mechanics of this high-yield infrastructure. Now we need to filter these data points to see if they actually align with your specific travel style. Let's run this through a basic compatibility matrix. If you are a time-poor optimizer, this is a perfect match. The frictionless transit and tightly packed geography guarantee you will hit your daily quotas without logistical dead ends. Solo and budget travelers also score perfectly here. The safety dividend removes the need to pay premiums for secure nighttime transport, and the robust public transit keeps individual costs flat. But proceed with caution if you are a slow travel immersionist. The heavy digitization and rigid schedules work directly against those looking to disconnect entirely and see where the day takes them. While many travelers prioritize serendipitous discovery, the Korean model is built for predictability and high-yield results. Pop culture might be the initial hook that gets people to look at a map, but the underlying logistical engine secures their satisfaction. The digital rails and high-speed transit are simply the delivery system for the destination, connecting you to sites like the Bulguksa Temple Complex, which has stood in the forests of Gyeongju since the 8th century. The central compromise is clear. You trade sprawling, untouched isolation for high-yield, frictionless variety. If you have exactly 1 week to experience the maximum cross-section of a culture, this is your premier global choice. In a world where time is the rarest commodity, South Korea succeeds because its geography and infrastructure work together to ensure that none of it is wasted.